As someone who literally proclaims themselves to be a black girl in fandom, I really feel like I do not talk about the fandoms that I'm in enough for this to be like a video essay slash fandom YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about all of the fandoms that I'm in, and if you guys are interested, keep on watching. Hi guys, my name is Ella Pastoral. I make video essays and I also talk about social issues from time to time, but today I am going to be talking about my fandoms. This video is directly inspired by ColeyDoesThings video where she talked about every fandom that she's been in, and I was like, yo, I've been in fandom since I was like 7, and I have a tendency to get really obsessed with things. So let me expose all of the fandoms that I've been in and see how many fandoms that I share with my subscribers, because your girl, she's been around. I just wanted to take a quick break from the regularly scheduled content to just thank all of my current Patreons. Thank you guys so much for your support. It seriously means so much. Without y'all, I wouldn't be able to be so consistent in posting content. If any of y'all want to be like these beautiful, wonderful people, go to Ella Pastoral on patreon.com so you can have early access to my videos as well as participate in polls. Now let's get back to the regularly scheduled content. So how I'm going to be doing this video is that I'm breaking this video down into different genres or like subcategories, I guess, where I'm going to be talking about the books I've been into, the movies I've been into. If I'm being honest, this is going to be one of my yapping videos. So the first genre or subcategory that I want to talk about is most definitely the books that I've been obsessed with. And the first book or book to movie type thing that I've been really obsessed with is Twilight. I think 1 year ago for my first ever Ella Enchanted series, which is practically a series I do on my channel every year where Halloween comes around and I talk about all of my favorite spooky things, I talked about Twilight and the issues with Twilight. And I was so passionate for that video because your girl knows Twilight, the lore behind Twilight, the lore behind the creator of Twilight. Like I said, your girl has been around, and so I literally decided to make a video just talking about my issues with Twilight because I know so much and I just have so many issues with the creator, Twilight as a whole, because I will never ever let Stephenie Meyers let go of the fact that A, she thinks that black people don't deserve to have rights, and B, she decided to let Jacob imprint on that little child known as Renesmee. I never forgave Stephenie Meyers for that. So for the next book fandom that I was in, I guess, most definitely has to be the Selection fandom. So if you guys don't know, the Selection book franchise was a YA dystopian type, I don't know, situation where we have our main character, America. God. Our main character, her name was America, and she had to be in a bachelor type situation in order to practically seduce the prince of the nation and practically get him to change the society that she lived in for the better. I was obsessed with this book franchise growing up. I read all of the books in the main series, and then I even read the books in like the spin-off that involved America's daughter. Now that I look back on it, the world building for this world was it was weird. It was really weird, but I was really into it. It was a time in my life. I'm gonna just put a picture of how many books there were. I read like all of them. So your girl really loved the series. So the next book series that I read was when I was really into problematic manga. This manga is called Blackbird. I haven't seen anybody do like a retrospective or like a nostalgic video based off this series yet, but I was obsessed with this series growing up. So Blackbird is about this girl. I forgot her name. I'm gonna put a picture up so y'all can see what my good sis looks like. She was born with like this mystical power where practically all of the demon lords want Shawty so bad, because if they marry her or low-key kill her, they get to have her mystical chosen one energy, right? And so this is a very problematic manga, y'all. So gross, so problematic. But there's this dude who knew her when she was growing up, and he was a demon lord, but the main character obviously didn't know that. And so homeboy has practically been creeping on my good sis ever since then. And as soon as she turned like 16, he was like, yes, it's finally my time to claim Shawty as my wife in order to protect her. But it got really weird and it got really gross. Homeboy literally broke into her school and became her teacher in order to always keep an eye on her. And as a kid, I don't know no better. I was like, wow, this is so romantic. take because he's willing to become her teacher in order to protect her. This ain't Pretty Little Liars, y'all. This is not Pretty Little Liars, but the gag is I read all them books. I read all the books. And this book series is a manga. It had a very gross... If you guys read books, like you're an avid book reader of like fantasy, you know there's that nasty trope of like in order to end a book, they'll practically neuter the female lead and take away all of her special magical powers and practically turn her into a domestic housewife in order to let her have a happy ending. That's how this manga ended, and it was nasty. It was nasty work. I think what even made me mad even as a kid is that her powers and everything that made her special, all of her magical powers got transmitted to her child, her male child at that. So yeah, I don't know. I was reading the heck out of the books, but even younger me was like, what kind of ending is this? This is whack. I hate it. And now we're going to be talking about more age appropriate books that I was into. I was so obsessed with Dork Diaries. Dork Diaries were the only books that my parents actively bought for me because I was obsessed. I haven't read like a bunch of the newest ones, but Dork Diaries really caused me to have my passion for art. I joined a STEM program that killed my passion for art, but before I was in that terrible STEM program, I was really into the arts. Because of Dork Diaries, I have so many diaries. I'm going to do a separate video about that where I practically expose all of the really cringy childhood art things that I did, but Dork Diaries is the reason why I had a diary. And in my diary, I was really unhinged. Maybe I shouldn't have been writing all of my prepubescent angry thoughts down for the world to see. By the world, I mean me and my mom, because my mom likes to go through my things and read my diaries. But still, Dork Diaries was that book. It's very nostalgic. It's very cute. I tried to read Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but I think his name was Greg, the main character. He was so annoying. And at least for my girl Nikki had a personality and she wasn't giving narcissist, but that's a topic for another day. The next book series that I was actually really into most definitely has to be Divergent. And this is going to be so messy because I was obsessed with the first Divergent book, okay? I actually read it. For Twilight, I'm just a fan of the overall Twilight universe. But for Divergent, I actually read the book. And at the time I was reading the book, it was peak. It was peak. I was reading this around the time of the Hunger Games trilogy. Peak. And then your girl decided to read book 2. This was bad. I physically could not stand reading the book. I physically could not get through the second Divergent book. I think it was called Insurgents. I got through the first couple of chapters and I immediately returned it to the library. I don't know if the popularity of the first book had the author lose their talent or something, but it was awful. And then literally you could see the quality of the Divergent, the first Divergent movie to the second Divergent movie, and even to the third Divergent movie that was literally a made to TV special. Clock that T. But literally, guys, it was bad. It was literally so bad. And I was like, you know what? Let me see what happened in the book series after I stopped reading it. And you guys will not believe this. I'll see if I can find Shawty's video on it. But somebody on YouTube did like a whole deep dive into the Divergent series. And if you guys don't remember, Divergent, their society is broken up into personalities. So if you're brave, I think you're dauntless. That's the only one I remember. There was like if you're kind. I think the main personality types are if you're kind, selfless, brave, and everything else I forgot. Oh, smart! The erudite faction. I remember because I was like, I had to be erudite because I'm so smart. I remember. But literally, guys, the reason why they had those personalities is because the government did like a really effed up experiment on the city of Chicago and caused there to only be like one personality type for each person. And I was like, yo, what the hell? That's what this book is? Guys, it was such a flop and I feel so bad because how can you go from one of the most popular blockbuster movies to a made to TV special? Like, that was so embarrassing. As someone who actually read the books, you could tell the quality fell off real bad, and I really want to know what happened. Maybe I'm the only one who had this opinion, but I was like, yo, book 2 was awful. So obviously I wasn't gonna read no book 3 if book 2 was awful. It was a letdown. I think That was one of the first times I've ever been disappointed by a book. The next book series that I was absolutely 100% obsessed with is definitely Cinder, the Cinder Chronicles. That's not what it's called. I need to stop calling it that. It's called the Lunar Chronicles. It's just that the first book, Cinder, I feel like was one of the best books I've ever read. And I was just so obsessed with this series. I really feel like I gotta reread the series and do a deep dive or something, because this was good. This was good books. This was good books. These were great. The Cinder Chronicles... The Lunar Chronicles was a fantastical sci-fi fantasy retelling of all of the popular fairy tales that we had. We had obviously Cinderella, we had Rapunzel, we had Snow White. Who else did we have? I think those were the main ones. But Marissa Meyer, she was doing her big thing with this one. I have never been so obsessed with a book series, because not only did I read the main books, your girl read the novellas and the spin-offs. That's how obsessed I was. I really wanted to know more about this world, what happened before the main series. Like, your girl was really trying to see what's going on. I think this was one of the few book fandoms that I actively looked for fan art, because usually I just look at the book cover and I let my mind do what my mind does best and imagine. But I was like, I really want to see how people imagine these characters to be, and it was good. It was so good. If you guys have watched my Cinderella video, y'all know I love me a good fairy tale retelling. I'ma watch it regardless. I'ma read it regardless. It's like my favorite trope. I know some people get tired of how many Cinderella retellings there are, but do a Cinderella retelling and I'ma watch it. I'ma read it. Do a Cinderella song, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm one of them. And the last book, and I guess my book fandoms, has to be Legendborn. Legendborn is one of the few books that I've been able to sneak some time to read, because school has been killing me. Like, I graduate this May on my new grad type beat, but I promise when I graduate, I'm gonna finally have rights, and I'm finally going to be able to really read books like how I was as a kid. Because instead of having, the right to enjoy my life, I have to open up textbooks. And when you're reading textbooks every day, 7 days a week, you really don't have time to read for pleasure, but practically to get to the point. The Legendborn series is a book that I really, really recommend, because like I said, I'm always trying to recommend y'all books that are written by Black people and they have Black characters in it. This is a author, what's his name? Author Pendragon reimagining type thing, where the main character, she has to find out how her mom died, because she's seeing that her mom's death was like mad suspicious, and she has to find out what's going on with that situation. And she practically discovers a whole secret underground society. And this book series is real good. It took me for a loop-de-loop, like so many twists, so many surprises. I don't even know what to say, because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, because I really feel like you guys should really read the book. But this, I was so emotional reading this, especially in book 2. Check out the trigger warnings, because it does cover a lot of deep, hard topics. And I'm not gonna lie, there was several parts where your girl teared up. I was very emotional reading the book. Book 1, Legendborn, and I think the next book is called Bloodmark. It's very good, y'all. Black fantasy at its best. Okay, so for the next section of this video, I'm going to be talking about all of the cartoons that I've been obsessed with. And for the first cartoon that I want to mention, it has to be Star vs. the Forces of Evil. I was so obsessed with this TV show when it came out on, I think, Disney. I think I watched it on Disney XD. But man, the fall of Star vs. the Forces of Evil was so bad. I'm doing a whole separate video about that topic, because it still makes me mad when I think about it to this very day. But I was so obsessed with this fandom. I was always looking at the theories. I was watching fan videos, edits. I even made my 1-2-1-2 fan art that I would submit to like my classes when we would be allowed to submit art. And literally the fall of the show literally hurt my feelings so bad, because you guys know I'm obsessed with hyper feminine pieces of media, especially when they're animated. And for the show to flop the way it did, my feelings were so hurt. My feelings were so hurt. But don't worry, I'm going to be really talking about it when I do that Star Versus video. Shoot, sometime this year. Y'all gonna have to see it sometime this year, because your girl got a lot going on. The next fandom that I am in slash was in has to be the whole Avatar The Last Airbender fandom. I feel like everybody who likes animation has been a part of this fandom, so I'm not going to really explain too much. I was never really into Legend of Korra. I know a lot of people who don't like Legend of Korra had a lot of sexist opinions towards the show, but for me, I just couldn't get into it. I really feel like we needed a little something of Aang's after journey, and I just never liked Korra. I never really got into her as a person, and I know a lot of people just couldn't get into her because people just hate women, but I never really related to her. And so I would watch from time to time when they would pop up on Nickelodeon, but the last thing I remember was when Korra decided to like practically combine both worlds together, like the spirit world and the human world, and then she went with her girlfriend to go on the honeymoon into the spirit world practically. And I was like, oh, she done effed up, because I think Korra also broke the freaking Avatar cycle, and so literally she's going to be like the only like ancestor for any of the new any of the new avatars. And I hated that. I also hated that when Star vs. the Forces of Evil did that, because I felt like it really didn't put into consideration how much that was going to F up the entire world as we knew it. And not in a, oh my gosh, we're gonna see new things. Like, you doomed humanity. You really doomed humanity. And I don't know. I don't want to like say too much on Legend of Korra, because I know a lot of people just hate it because Korra is a woman. But goodness gracious, it was a mess and I did not like it. But I did like Avatar. And so, you know, I'm not going to do too much. I'm not going to do too much on the show. The next fandom that I was really in is Steven Universe. I actively remember when I was in middle school, I was like, yeah, I watched Steven Universe. And people were like, at your big age, you're watching Steven Universe? Yes. Huh? I don't know. We stay talking about on this channel how people really don't think animation is a serious thing, but I'm like, Steven Universe is on Cartoon Network, and I'm literally in the age demographic where I should be watching this. So I don't know what you want from me. So the thing about Steven Universe is that I'm really more into the fandom than into the show. I just know so much in relation to the show, but not actively watching the show. For example, I didn't watch Steven Universe Future. I didn't even know that was a thing until I went on freaking TikTok, and they were like, oh my gosh guys, can you believe that freaking Steven proposed to Connie? And I was like, Reggie? I thought the show ended, but turns out they had a whole spin-off. But I'm really more into the lore, the theories, and shoot, I'm trying to remember the last thing I watched. Let's see. The last thing I actively remember from the Steven Universe mainstay that wasn't from like a video essay or a Steven Universe retrospective was when the whole Pink Diamond trial was happening. I think the whole situation just pissed me off so much. Oh, I watched the movie with Spinell. That was the last active piece of Steven Universe media that I actively consumed. But I think the whole Pink Diamond thing just made me so angry that I was like, let me take a step back. And so ever since then, I've been more into the fandom than the actual show, because as more and more things kept happening, my blood pressure kept going up, and I was just like, justice for Steven, and I couldn't do it no more. So I was like, let me live in an alternate universe where Steven has rights, because I think in Steven Universe Future, my man had a panic attack and turned into a corrupted gem. And I was like, oh my god, free Steven. The next fandom that I have to say that I'm in is Adventure Time. I've always been obsessed with Adventure Time because that is such a lore heavy show. So you really need all the people that you can get to help you explain the show, understand what the hell is going on. And I don't know, Adventure Time was such a cute show. I actually watched like the entire show, which is really weird. A lot of the time I get my little 1-2-1-2 and I just join the fandom and I have time just frolicking in the fandom. But this show was just so good, so charming, so interesting. There was just so much for everybody. Like, we had the people who shipped Marceline and Princess Bubblegum, and there was also people who were trying to discover why Finn was the only human left. I don't know, that fandom, it's such a sweet fandom. I haven't experienced any racism in the fandom. Well, that's not true. There's some people who believe Marceline still isn't black, but at least, you know, those people, we shame them. We shame them at least. But overall, Adventure Time is just a sweet, nostalgic piece of media for me. I still haven't watched Fiona and Cat. Editor Emma will put the right title of the spinoff on the screen. But yeah, that fandom has a special place in my heart because it's so cute, so non-problematic, and it's just overall just good vibes. The next fandom that I have to say that I'm in / was in has to be Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls was such a lore heavy show, and I'm just so glad that we got it. I'm really glad that it ended when it did, because I feel like any longer and the creator would have lost passion for it, or it would have worse been like overdrawn like The Simpsons, like 1,054 seasons if, you know, Disney had their way. But it was just such a experience. The fact that the creator encouraged fans to do their own fan theories, and I don't know, that fandom also has a sweet place in my heart because it's just so cute, quaint, and it just encouraged the fans to do what fans do, theorize. And I don't know, just cute vibes. People really hate Mabel, but she literally is like a kid, bro, like an over hyped up, eats sugar type kid. We need to relax. I've seen so many like think pieces on why Mabel's the worst, but I'm like, bro, y'all gotta chill on these girls. Y'all hates young women. And people were mad that she practically caused the apocalypse, but she's like a little kid that was like, you know, manipulated by a like an omnipresent triangle demon. Like, guys, we have to be serious. Since we're on the topic of teenagers in high school that have like magical powers, I guess the next fandom that I was in most definitely has to be the Monster High fandom, and I'm specifically talking about Generation 1 and Generation 2. Monster High used to be my ish. I was so obsessed. I actually made fan art for this show. I even made my own original characters. As you can see, your girl, she wasn't that best at doing art, but the passion was there. The passion was the passion was most definitely there for Monster High, but I do not like Gen 3. A lot of people do not like Gen 3 because they hated how they made Frankie non-binary. That didn't affect me. I actually feel like making Frankie non-binary just makes sense. Like when they said that Frankie was non-binary, I was like, yeah, like that just makes sense considering who Frankie is as a character. I have a lot of issues with what they did with the rest of the characters. Claudine and her whole family. There's so much drama surrounding the whole live action Monster High situation, with people being racist, people supporting like an unaliving of people. It's gross. Like I said, I'll just stick with Gen 1 and Gen 2 and that fandom, because I feel like when Gen 3 came out, it literally split the fandom up. And I'm back with the ancestors on Gen 1, Gen 2. And I'm going to let people who enjoy Gen 3 enjoy Gen 3. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I'll take Frankie and I'll take Draculaura, because I really like the changes they made to those two characters. But everything else, y'all can keep it. Y'all can keep it. The next fandom that I'm in is something y'all know for a fact that I was in, and that has to be Winx Club. Winx Club, I don't even want to say I was in the Winx Club fandom. I am in the Winx Club fandom. I actively keep up with all of the news, the updates. We're getting a reboot. I don't think they released a release date yet, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes out for Winx Club. I make so many videos about Winx Club, the terrible Fate the Winx saga spinoff they did. Yo girl, when it comes to Winx was there for me in a very turbulent time of my life. So I could be 80 years old with my grandkids circled around the fire, and I still tell them about Winx Club, because me and Winx Club are just like this. And another fandom that I was in and was like really obsessed with has to be My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I think I might even do a video talking about my time in that fandom, because if you were a young girl in that fandom, you already know that it was a hot mess. So many things were going wrong in that fandom. Oh my gosh. But on a positive, I made fan art. I made a lot of my OCs. Gosh, I'll do my whole separate video on that, because your girl was obsessed. So many videos, so many spin-offs. What's it called? Witchcraft is Magic, the Bronies, all of the creepypastas that were made. My Little Pony exposed me to a lot of dark stuff as a kid. It really did. But don't worry, I'm gonna do my whole separate deep dive on that, because God, I was traumatized. So many things were introduced to me, like cannibalism. Why was I exposed to cannibalism via My Little Pony, guys? Why? But let's talk about the next fandom. And so for the last, I guess, cartoon, if you even want to call it that I am in the fandom for, has to be Arcane. Arcane, guys, you gotta watch Arcane. Arcane is so good. The the plot be plotting. I don't know what to say. I think it's based off a game that everybody is either really in love with or really hates. The little animated series they got going on Netflix is so good. I don't even know how to explain it to y'all. Y'all just gotta watch it for yourselves and just know you gonna be in your feels and you really gonna see a lot of stuff. I was very nervous that Netflix was going to cancel it because I didn't hear any news, but the season 2 trailer just dropped, so the Arcane fans are going to be eating real good this month. So the next category of fandoms that I'm in, that I'm going to talk about next, most definitely has to be TV shows. And the first fandom that I want to talk about has to be Doctor Who. Doctor Who has been going on since literally forever. Like, I don't know which one has gone on longer, Tom and Jerry or Doctor Who, but they're competing. And I started off on the 9th Doctor, and then I fell off with this guy. I think he's the 12th Doctor. I tried so hard to be into his series. I think I watched a good chunk of it, but once Clara left, I was like, there's nothing to live for. There's literally nothing to live for. And so I fell off so bad, and literally there kept being other doctors. I saw the news of there being a female doctor, but to be honest, I saw some trailers and I saw some episodes. I didn't watch them, but I saw some clips and I'm like, this looks mad boring. But I'm really going to get back into the fandom and the actual watching of the TV show, because this guy, he's going to be our newest doctor. And I watched him on, I think, Sex Education, and he's so charismatic and he's so funny. And I seen a little bit of the clips between David Tennant as the doctor and him, and he's just so charismatic. So I might just get into the Doctor Who just for him, because I feel like he's going to bring back the energy that was lost in a lot of the other doctors. Because at least from when I stopped watching Doctor Who, this man right here, he was just giving so depressing. Like, damn, I'm gonna need a little something, like I'm gonna need a little more energy. And I really feel like he, as the next doctor, is definitely going to give us that. And also, Doctor Who was a huge part of my early fandom days, because I was also on Tumblr during the Super Who-lock phase, but I only watched Supernatural and Doctor Who, so the fact that I fell off really hurt my feelings. But damn, I'm telling y'all, after Clara left, I left. Since I'm on the topic of Supernatural, because of the whole Doctor Super Who-lock situation, Supernatural used to be my ish. I was obsessed. This was one of the first fandoms that I started reading fanfic for, because I was a huge Castiel girly. People were talking about, are you a Sam girly? Are you a Dean girly? And I'm like, who? Baby, we talking about Castiel. And I was, oh my gosh. This fandom was so nostalgic for me, but then it got bad. Oh, it got so bad. Like I said for Gravity Falls, I really feel like there are some shows where you have to let them just die. Let them end, because the ending completes the show. And where I feel like that should have ended was when Dean went to hell and Sam was on Earth. I feel like that's when the show should have ended, but they were like, nah, people love Sam and Dean too much, and they continued the show and I let that slide because it was low-key giving good, I'm not gonna lie. But where the show got so bad that even I, as a Supernatural fan, had to drop it, was when they had God's sister on the show. I was like, enough is enough. Enough is enough, and they had to fight God's sister. Nonsense. Just nonsense. And not even like fun nonsense, because Supernatural has always just been the most out-of-pocket wild stuff. But I was like, the whole God's sister plot was bad. I think I even finished that, but there was a secret shady organization that was fighting against Sam and Dean after a while, and I was like, if they're able to defeat God's sister and this shady organization is getting their licks in on them, it just didn't make sense, because I'm like, they're fighting gods and a shady human organization is able to do them like this. Because I think the last episode that I remember actively watching is they either kidnapped Sam or Dean, and they had them in a shady basement. And I'm like, how? They broke into the bunker. I was like, if they're able to defeat gods, I'm not gonna go on and on, but y'all catching my drift. How can they literally defeat gods, but they got kidnapped by humans? And it was literally an organization we never heard of up until this point. I was like, okay guys, enough is enough. Your girl gotta leave. So that's when I just stopped being a part of the Supernatural fandom. But even though I wouldn't consider myself actively a part of the Supernatural fandom, I do still engage in a lot of fan content that comes out for this show. Like there's this one guy on TikTok who wears a really bad wig and he pretends to be Sam Winchester, and I even think like the official Supernatural like TikTok like comments underneath his stuff. He's single-handedly keeping the show alive, and I love that for him. The next fandom that I want to say that I'm in has to be the Umbrella Academy. I did a video talking about the Umbrella Academy and how they practically ruined Allison's character for me, but literally, oh my goodness, I love that show. I know a lot of people don't like the show because it's a little like corny and they got a lot of brother sister loving going on, but I really love the Umbrella Academy and I really want to see what they do with the last season. All of the mystery stuff keeps me on my toes, and I really love how they supported Elliot Page during his transition, because I know a lot of shows would have been like, F you gotta pretend to be a girl still, and I don't know, Umbrella Academy has a very special place in my heart because it's just so, I don't know, I love Umbrella Academy. The next fandom that I was most definitely in has to be the Orange is the New Black fandom. This show had me in my feelings. Oh my goodness. For some reason, this show continued Netflix's weird trend of having people put things up men's buttholes with like a broom and such, because Orange is the New Black did it, as well as 13 Reasons Why. But if you pretend that never happened, the show is really good. The show was really campy and fun until the last season, where everything got really dark and really realistic, and I remember crying because all of my favorite characters got the worst possible endings ever, and I was like, they tricked us. They literally tricked us into thinking things were going to be good, and things weren't, and it was realistic, but that doesn't mean I wasn't sad. So many bad things happened in that show. So many bad things. Another TV show that I was really obsessed with most definitely has to be Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time was a mess, and I feel like if you guys have watched my Jujutsu Kaisen X Disney Princess thing, you know how much I love nonsensical nonsense, and Once Upon a Time was that nonsensical nonsense concept, but as a TV show. The way they connected different aspects of the Disney universe together was just so outrageous that there was no reason why you couldn't love the show. The fact that they took Rumpelstiltskin, I'm butchering that man's pronunciation, and made him the Beast from Beauty and the Beast was mind-blowing. The fact that they had Mulan falling in love with Sleeping Beauty, madness. Everyone in that show is related. Everyone in that show is related. I'm going to put a little image on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, if you're one of the few people who watched my Jujutsu Kaisen X Disney Princess thing and you're just like, what the hell is going on? But you fell in love with the madness, you have to watch Once Upon a Time. I might even watch the show again because I just loved how they would always keep you on your toes. Like I remember, like I said, Rumpelstiltskin, he's the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, right? Y'all will not believe who his dad was. I'm gonna let y'all guess. Okay? You're wrong. Whoever you thought his dad could be, you're wrong. His dad was Peter Pan. His dad was Peter Pan. Guys, I am really sad that Once Upon a Time ended because I'm just thinking about how many nonsensical plot lines we could have gotten if we continued. Like imagine an Encanto episode on Once Upon a Time, bro. We're going to have freaking Emma Swan. She's going to be the one who has to freaking defeat freaking Umbrella. Like, just imagine the plot lines we could have had. But the thing about Once Upon a Time that kind of caused me to like not really be into it anymore is that we had a like spin-off, but it wasn't really a spin-off because it wasn't part of the main series. And it was, let me explain before I pop off. So in the later episodes, in the later seasons, we had like a spin-off type situation where we had Henry, the main character of like most of the seasons beforehand. He aged up and he left Storybrooke. And for some reason, this caused a retcon where literally all of our favorite characters, they got new personalities. Like remember Regina's curse in like the first season? That happens again. But everybody loses their personality and they're like completely different people. And it was just gross and nasty, gross work. And literally all of the nonsensical nonsense wasn't even good anymore. We had a Cinderella retelling in the new seasons where Henry is, you know, the main character. And that was boring and that was whack. The later seasons with Henry as the as older Henry with the main character was whack and boring. It gave nothing. And literally they took the formula from the first couple of seasons and they flipped it, where instead of Henry going out to find his mom and have her break the curse, they have Henry's daughter come to Henry to get him to break the curse. But Henry's like, who are you? I don't have no kids. It was whack and it was boring and it literally ruined everything. That's it. And that's why I'm not really into the show anymore. I don't even know if the show can't be going on, because then we would have Encanto seasons. Like, it'll be Encanto X Winnie the Pooh or something like that. But yeah, I don't know how that later half of the show went, because I was like, this is awful and boring and gross. The next TV show that I was most definitely obsessed with has to be Victorious. I feel like any of us who grew up watching Nickelodeon loved Victorious, but Dan Schneider and his foot fetish kind of ruined everything. But Victorious was good. I love the songs. I still have a lot of the songs on my playlist, but I am a hard defender of the fact that Andre and Jade, they should have had a little something going on, because obviously Beck never treated Jade the way she should have been treated. But let's move on. I feel like there's so many people talking about Victorious that, like, it's the same thing with Avatar. We all love the show. The next TV series type thing that I was really obsessed with, and I low-key still am obsessed with, is Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared started off as a YouTube property that later got adapted into a TV show. I really loved how they were able to take their YouTube thing and make it into a more syndicated project with a more like congruent plot. If you guys haven't watched the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared TV show, really watch it. I feel like it's really good. It has the same like quirkiness as the YouTube series, but there's more plot threads and it follows like a season aspect. I gotta see if season 2 ever got dropped or if there's anything happening with that franchise still, but season 1 was really good and I really enjoyed it. It has like that really creepy, disturbing feel, and I don't know, I really like cutesy horror stuff. Like, guys, I grew up watching Coraline, so Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared has literally just followed that aspect. The next TV show that I'm obsessed with most definitely has to be The Boys. I'm working on a whole video where I'm talking about The Boys fandom and how they practically are mad problematic. But The Boys TV show was something I never expected to like, because after the whole Marvel thing and how Marvel has been flopping over the years, I've kind of been over superheroes, but The Boys practically revitalized my love of superheroes. And yeah, I got a whole video talking about that coming up sometime this year, and I really hope that you guys like that video when it comes out. The next fandom that I was really in has to be American Horror Story. I talked about how I fell out of love with American Horror Story in this video, so just watch that one. But the last season I watched and seeing what they put out after that last season really let me know that American Horror Story just flopped in quality, and that's just so disappointing to see, because I was so obsessed with the show. Like, this is one of the few shows that I actually like was trying to evangelize with and get other people to watch so we could talk about it in like my real life situation. But seeing how American Horror Story flopped was so sad. And even like their spin-off American Horror Stories, it wasn't giving either, y'all. It wasn't. The next fandom that I was in most definitely has to be the Stranger Things fandom. I made a whole video talking about how like the fandom is racist, and overall I'm just tired of Stranger Things. I feel like they've been repeating the same plot for the last couple of seasons, and so whenever we get it, like, I'm not watching it. I'm tired. Your girl is tired. And Noah, Will Breyer, Noah, y'all know who I'm talking about. He has just been going on so many racist, problematic rants about the people of Palestine, and that has no. The answer is no. I can't watch this in good conscience. I really can't. And it's boring. How many times must we see Elle defeat the same Demogorgon, Toragorgon type creature? Your girl is tired. And the fandom is extremely racist too. So the next TV show that I was really obsessed with has to be the Euphoria TV show. I've made a ridiculous amount of videos on this topic, on Euphoria, the issues with Euphoria. But goodness gracious, Sam Livingston can now write to save his life, and we are tired of it. Literally, Euphoria has a curse going on where too many people are dying from the show, and we're losing too many people for the plot to continue. Y'all need to leave Euphoria in 2023 and call it a day. Instead, retry, because I don't even know how they're even gonna get Zendaya back to play Rue. Like, your girl Zendaya doing too many movies. I don't know how they finna do it, but when it comes out, I'm not watching it. Sam Levinson cannot write to save his life. Euphoria season 2 was a dumpster fire, and I do not want to see what season 3 is going to be like. Next fandom that I'm in that I never expected I would actually be in is the Star Trek fandom. Like, I would consider myself a Trekkie. I never would have thought I would be in this fandom because I always was under the conception that Star Trek and Star Wars were low-key the same. Obviously not the same in terms of like the plot, but the vibes, because Star Wars, all of the people, well, a lot of the people in the Star Wars fandom are like really problematic, and they're old heads, and they kind of believe that only white people should really be in Star Wars and B, liking Star Wars. But Star Trek is not like that. I watched Star Trek Discovery and I was so shocked at how much I liked it. I binged the heck out of that show, and I look even rewatched it. Can you believe it? I don't rewatch shows, y'all. You have to be above and beyond for me to rewatch you again. Like Interview with a Vampire, I watched that joint 3 times. It was real good. And so I was like, damn, I can't keep rewatching Star Trek Discovery. Let me watch some of the older works. I just finished Star Trek Voyager. I think so. I just finished Star Trek Voyager, and that show is real good. I have a rule that I don't watch a lot of old media because the way that it's filmed, like my eyes be like burning. Like it physically hurts my eyes to watch it. But Star Trek Voyager was so good, so good. And I just started falling in love with the Star Trek fandom that I literally looked up a canonical list of how to watch Star Trek. That was also one of my rules. If I don't know how to watch you just by Googling 1212, I won't watch you. But Star Trek is so good that I literally looked up a timeline, a convoluted timeline, and I'm following that timeline on how to watch the show. I already watched Voyager and Discovery. Voyager is way later in the timeline from the first seasons of Discovery, but I'm starting all the way in the beginning, and I am watching Star Trek Enterprise, I believe it's called, where it shows us the beginning, the beginning history of the Enterprise that we see in the later Star Trek pieces of media. But guys, I really love Star Trek, and I never would have expected that. The next fandom that I am in, and I really feel like a lot of people don't know about, has to be the From TV show from the MGM network or like streaming service. This right here is a slept on piece of media. From is literally like Lost, but the Lost TV show was before my time, and From can be our modern Lost, but I really feel like due to the fact that it's on MGM and literally no one knows what that is, it's not getting enough reach. And I really feel like we really need to watch the TV show. When I tell you guys, this TV show is going to have you on your toes. This is one of the few pieces of media that I've watched like recently, like I watched it in 2023, that had me obsessed. I watched so many videos, so many theory videos. I was in people's live streams. I don't go to nobody's live streams, but I would be watching some of my favorite creators theorizing about who the entity that's controlling Fromland is. That's how obsessed I am. I'm not going to spoil too much for y'all because we got, I think, like 2 seasons, but y'all got to watch this show. This show going to have you guys thinking. Y'all watch From and let me know what you think. Or if you have watched From, let me know what your fan theories are because I have a lot of thoughts. The next fandom that I was in but I low-key fell off with has to be the Merlin fandom. People watch Merlin like during the Super Hulock phase, but me, I watched things like decades later. I only watched Merlin literally like last year, but I really fell off when they turned my good sis Morgana into a villain and they had her running in the streets like a common peasant when she literally is Lady Morgana. And then I saw how a lot of the fandom was like really like anti-black to Gwendolyn, and I was like, enough is enough. Sometimes I like to just end series so that in my head none of the bad stuff happens. I know like it doesn't even make sense, but I did that with Game of Thrones. To me, Game of Thrones ended when freaking Daenerys got on the boat and she was headed towards Westeros. So that's where Game of Thrones ended for me. And that's what I did with the Merlin show, because I was like, you know what? Let's stop it right here. We're at a very reasonable spot. Okay? I don't want to hear no more. So the next fandom that I'm really obsessed with most definitely has to be the Bridgerton TV show. I really feel like Bridgerton Bridgerton literally is just in my niche of things I really like. I love me a good historical TV show and or movie, and then they added romance, and they added good romance to it too. So it literally is right up my alley. I'm still deciding if I'm going to watch season 3 because I hated Penelope. People kept trying to brainwash me into liking Penelope, but I'm like, boo, she's an awful person and an awful friend. But I just might watch Bridgerton season 3 because my friends are, and they're going to be yapping at me, and I'm gonna need to know what the hell they're talking about, so I just might watch it. The next fandom that I was super into most definitely had to be the Arrowverse. I loved the Arrowverse, but after a while, like, things just started making like no sense. I never watched Arrow. Arrow was not my jam, but I definitely watched everything else that was in the Arrowverse. I don't know, something about Oliver Queen just gave me the ick. Then we found out that the actor who played Oliver Queen, he's just annoying and obnoxious, and he was trying to be a scab during the whole SAG-AFTRA, protest thing that was going on, and nobody liked him. And I was like, I clocked the tea before there was even tea to clock. But I was really into Flash, and I was really into Supergirl. I watched the other things that were in the little Arrowverse, but those were my main things. But for me, I stopped watching Supergirl when Lex Luthor's sister found out that Clara was Supergirl, and then they had beef. That broke my heart because I low-key shipped them together, and I couldn't stand the angst. So I was like, you know what? we gonna stop it right there. But literally, I don't hear no one talking about the Flash or any of the other Arrowverse pieces of media. And that's really sad because Arrowverse used to dominate the CW, but the CW low-key is suffering right now, so I'm like, it kind of makes sense. The next piece of media that I'm really obsessed with, and I'm low-key still obsessed with, has to be Moon Knight. To be honest, I consider Oscar Isaac and everything he does to be his own fandom, because that's my man. I love Oscar Isaac. Let me show you how serious I am. Like, ignore the fact that my phone is all types of cracks right now, but literally, I don't know if you can see this past my ring light, but I have Oscar Isaac as my screensaver because I love that man. Anything that he's in, I'ma watch it. So I just consider Oscar Isaac to be his own fandom, and I'm the #1 fan in said fandom. Another fandom that I recently got into was Grey's Anatomy. I always used to hate on Grey's Anatomy until I saw the light, and I literally binged like 11 seasons in 2 weeks because I was going through a lot. And I am even working on like a Grey's Anatomy deep dive because the fact that I binged this show in 2 weeks shows you that there's a little something going on, if you catch my drift. I even started watching the spin-off Station 19, and then it got canceled. So yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about in that video, but I promise y'all gonna get it sometime this year. That's all I can promise you guys. Sometime this year y'all gonna get that video. Another fandom that I was extremely obsessed with has to be Teen Wolf, and I'm gonna tell you exactly when I stopped watching. When the Dread Doctors became a plot point, I was like, oh hell no, this is whack. I forced myself so bad to watch it. Guys. I really did. And let me know if you even be interested in a video about Teen Wolf. But I was obsessed with Teen Wolf. I was reading fan fiction. Oh my gosh, it's bad and you're really in a fandom when you go out of your way to go find fan fiction. I shipped Styles with Derek, but now that I think about it, I was like, yo, that old man is harassing these high school streets. We gotta stop, guys. And nobody said nothing. I was like, in fact, now that I'm older and I got some more brain cells as my frontal, is it my frontal lobe or my prefrontal, something developing. I was like, where are the teachers? Nobody was helping them kids, bro. Oh my gosh. And then the dude who played Styles left, and that's when the show died. Oh my gosh, Dylan O'Brien. He made the show, and then he left, and then it got bad. And then they were like really racist to that Asian girl who was like the kitsune, and they literally disappeared her off somewhere. Shaking my head. I know she's getting a lot more work now. I think she's playing a character in the new Avatar The Last Airbender live action that they got going on. So she getting paid. I think her name is Erin Cho. Just know we the people love you. The showrunners didn't love you, but we the people love you. Then I forgot to even mention this. They made a like 10-year after series. Sometimes you gotta let things be dead. And that was the show. They should have let that show be dead. 100%. Another fandom that I was really in and really broke my heart has to be The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I want to cover this show for my Ella Enchanted series 2024, so I'm not going to speak too much on it, but that show disappointed the hell out of me at the end. We're going to talk about it in like October, but I promise I have so many things to say about that show. That show broke my heart. But they let Riverdale have 1,054 seasons, but I'm not going to do too much. We're just going to move on. The next show that y'all know, that y'all should have been on, I would have had on this list, is Interview with a Vampire. That is my show. I love Interview with a Vampire. The girls love Interview with the Vampire. The guys love Interview with the Vampires. The NBs love Interview with a Vampire. That show is good. I did a 1 hour long video talking about this show. Y'all know. Like, I don't have to say too much about the show. Just watch my 1 hour long rant about how much I love the show. You don't even have to watch my video. Go watch the TV show for yourself. Season 2, I think they're done filming because I've seen too many teasers for them to not be done filming, so I'm patiently waiting for season 2 to drop because that is my show. So for the next category of fandoms that I consider myself to be a part of, the first thing I want to mention is the fact that I am in love with Coraline. Coraline has always been my thing. Coraline, I feel like, was my first real introduction to really creepy and macabre stuff. That and Growing Up Creepy, but Coraline is way scarier than Growing Up Creepy, and it just introduced me to so many topics like stop motion animation, mommy issues, all that. I love Coraline. For the next movie franchise that I'm obsessed with, I consider this to be the Barbie cinematic universe. Barbie has always been my favorite thing. I never got to play with the dolls growing up, so I kind of circumvented that by being obsessed with all of the other Barbie properties, like the Barbie mobile games, the Barbie virtual worlds, and specifically the Barbie cinematic universe in terms of the movies. My favorite movie from the Barbie cinematic universe most definitely has to be Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses. This was one of the few things my parents ever bought me, and I had that little DVD set played over and over and over and over. When I tell you I used to play the 12 Dancing Princesses on repeat through my house, like, that was my movie. It was like high-key the only movie I had to, but that's besides the point. I love that movie, but I love the Fairytopia one, Barbie as Rapunzel. Your girl, I need to rewatch those movies. Oh, The Princess and the Freaking Pauper, that one too. I don't know. I feel like that's clay. I don't even want to consider that like claymation, but like the chunky animation that was really prevalent in the early Barbie movies was really good. I watched some of the newest ones, like for example, like Barbie Charm School, and the one where we get introduced to Brooklyn Barbie. Another movie franchise that I'm obsessed with most definitely has to be Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse, the one with Miles Morales. That one is just good. I don't know. I feel like I don't have to say too much. I did a whole video over here just talking about it because I just feel like it was good, but animation on point, plot on point, character designs on point. Free the animators. Since we're on the topic, I really feel like the animators deserve to have rights. Them and the people at MAPPA, oh, they deserve breaks. So many people were mad that they pushed the dates of the Beyond the Spider-Verse movie, but after the nonsense that I saw that came from the Across the Spider-Verse movie, I hope these animators are chilling somewhere with their feet up getting massages, because the way they was treating them, no, let's not. Let the animators have rights, y'all. Please. The next category of fandoms that I would consider myself in has to be anime. I feel like I'm just going to have to like rapid fire some of these animes because like I feel like they are going to be their own separate videos at some point. I'm in the My Hero Academia fandom. I haven't caught up on the new seasons or like the 1004 movies yet, but your girl actively engages in My Hero Academia content. I was obsessed with Sugar Kara. I think Harry on the Hook did a video about that. I'm going to show y'all right here. I was obsessed with Sugar Kara, but I feel like I'm going to do my own video because that anime meant the world to me. But now that I look back at it, I'm like, oh my god, there's so many things wrong here. The next anime that I have for you guys is Vampire Knight. I already did my whole deep dive into Vampire Knight right here, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But goodness gracious, let's just say you should not date any of your descendants, okay? That's all I have to say for Vampire Knight. I am obsessed with Demon Slayer. I haven't watched the newest season, which I know, boo, but I really love Demon Slayer. I want to see how they practically get rid of Muzan. I just suck at watching things when I'm supposed to, so that's why I'm always behind on stuff. And that's how we get to Attack on Titan. Tell me why I haven't watched the final season. I literally had to block so many people because they had so many spoilers on my TikTok For You page. But I was like, yo, I should really watch this. and I still haven't. I think I need to like binge it before school starts, and school starts to drain the life out of me, but I'm focused on getting y'all videos before school starts and I lose my will to live. I need to watch Attack on Titan, the final season. Sorry, they said the last season was the final season, and they said Psych Part 2. I don't know, it's a mess. The next anime that I was obsessed with was Hetalia. I might have to do a whole separate video on that, but Hetalia was the first ever fandom that I wrote fanfiction for. And tell me why my mom found my fanfiction for my Hetalia fanfiction. And guys, it was like really explicit. It was really bad. it was really bad. Ever since then, I've never written fan fiction because my mom really loves to go through my stuff. And obviously now I have like laptops and I have like tablets and stuff with password encrypted, you know. But I'm just so traumatized from having my mom find my Hetalia fan fiction that the idea of writing fan fiction, it literally causes me to break out into sweats. It's that bad. I was obsessed with panty and stalking. I don't have to say too much about it. It has its own problems, especially with black people. But yeah, if you want like good panty and stocking videos, I think Carrie on the Hook has done a lot of like panty and stocking videos, but that anime was a mess. And I was watching that joint in middle school. I'm telling y'all, uncensored internet access is awful, because why was I watching this? I'ma include the stripper scene, the iconic panty and stocking stripper scene, and tell me why I was watching that in middle school. I think I was literally watching this like in 6th grade too, so it literally was like madness meets badness in terms of uncensored content that I was watching. Another anime that I don't see a lot of people talking about is Princess Tutu. This was a very cutesy girly anime that I watched as a kid that I feel really nostalgic about. I never watched like the season 2 of it. It's on my anime watch list, but I don't know. I low-key stopped watching anime. I think I might do a video just talking about why, but Princess Tutu is up on my list of things to watch. The next anime that I was really obsessed with to the point of confusion most definitely has to be Revolutionary Girl Utena. I feel like this anime is an anime that I need to watch a video essay on, because I watched the entire anime and I even read the manga, but there were just some certain things in relation to this anime that just didn't make sense to me. Like the whole relationship between, I forgot their name because it's been so long since I've watched it, but like the Indian girl and her brother that was low-key her lover brother, and that situation, Utena and her entanglements. Like I feel like I just need to find a good video essay that breaks it down for me like I'm an idiot, because I feel like I liked watching it, but I had so many questions. And another anime that I was obsessed with, and I feel like I'm still obsessed with, that gives me the same vibes most definitely has to be Madoka Magica. I feel like I've watched this anime several times and I still don't get it in terms of like the time travel and the fact that, forgetting the names, the purple haired girl is a witch. I just need to find me a good video essay that breaks down the plot, because I watched it but I'm still confused, you know? And another anime that I was really obsessed with, but due to the fact that season 2 was ass, I just had to pretend I never watched it, has to be The Promised Neverland. All of the people who read like the manga said that the anime did not do, you know, give it justice, but Promised Neverland season 2 was bad. Season 1 was peak for me, but I don't know what happened, if they didn't have enough time to fully expand the world or whatever, but I was like, what happened? What happened here? This is bad. The next category of fandoms that I was most definitely into has to be my K-pop phase. I'm just going to go through these very fast because I'm just going to do rapid fire for these fandoms. So I was into EXO, BTS, Luna. I actually might do a deep dive into Luna because those were my girls. Red Velvet, 17, Blackpink. I'm really still into Black Swan. They're a newer group. I really like their music. And I was into WJSN and Pristine. I was into a lot of other girl groups and other boy groups, but like these were the ones where like I was obsessed, looking at fan theories, knowing the names of these groups. You know, you really into a K-pop group when you go out of your way to learn the names of these people, their stage names and their actual names. So these were my top like K-pop. My ultimates, is that the word y'all use? These were my ultimates. My ulties. Let me stop embarrassing myself. The next category of videos that I have for you guys most definitely has to be my video game fandoms. And the first one I got for y'all is something y'all definitely know that I'm a huge fan of, and that has to be The Sims. Specifically The Sims 4 and then sometimes The Sims 3. I got a whole deep dive on that coming up soon, so I'm not going to go too much into my obsession with The Sims. But the next game fandom that I'm really obsessed with most definitely has to be the Amanda the Adventurer fandom. Y'all know that the most popular video on my channel is my deep dive into the Amanda the Adventurer fandom, but goodness gracious, so much was going on in that fandom. I even found out that people were shipping Amanda with Wooly. That took me for a surprise. I would have never expected that, but I should have, because fandom will amaze you. Fandom will literally have you changing the way you see humanity, and that was my experience with Amanda the Adventurer fandom. I'm also a big fan of FNAF. I have a lot of thoughts on FNAF, and now that freaking Matt Pat is retiring, I don't know who's gonna give us the 500 freaking FNAF theories anymore, because homeboy said he wants to go enjoy his life with his kids. So what are we gonna do, guys? What are we gonna do? Y'all better be on your A game, because Matt Pat, he going home, y'all, and he not coming back. He not coming back. Another fandom that I was ridiculously obsessed with most definitely has to be the Mystic Messenger fandom. I never played the games because the one thing about me is that you're not gonna be on my phone telling me to wake up at some 3 a.m. in order to text some fictional characters. That was madness. I have no idea how y'all did it, but I really love the lore, so I would watch people's gameplays of Mystic Messenger. I think I watched a ridiculously long deep dive into the lore, the alternative routes for Mystic Messenger, and what's so sad is that there was no other game that did it like Mystic Messenger. Like, ever since Mystic Messenger has been released, there has not been another game like that, which is so sad, because the concept of Mystic Messenger was so unique and the lore was giving. There literally hasn't been anything to replace it, like ever. The next game that I'm really obsessed with, but low-key I've never played, is Undertale. I love watching people's theories on Undertale and their gameplays, because I'm not really a gamer for real. I make my good video essays here and there, but I love watching people game, like Corey X Kenjin, Berleezy, Dashie, Cub Scouts. I love watching people game, but I love seeing people's personalities come out in the way they game, you know? And so that was a game that I was watching people play instead of playing it myself. The same has to be said for Danganronpa. I never watched the anime, but I watched a lot of people's gameplays through Danganronpa, and the fandom is wildly problematic. Oh my gosh, that's a topic for another day. Them people with them wigs and the freaking Junko freaking poses or whatever, I would have never expected them people to be so unhinged. But there's so many games, there's so much lore, so many twists, so many kids dying, a mess. And this leads me to my last couple of game fandoms that I was obsessed with. I've recently been really into Baldur's Gate. I haven't played Baldur's Gate. That game might be a game that I save up for and buy myself because it just looks so fun, and I always wanted to get into like a D&D type situation and get into like a D&D type group or whatever. I gotta find out how I can do that without being like, you know, racially profiled, because I be seeing some of y'all who play D&D and y'all be giving racist and y'all be giving bigots. But the whole Baldur's Gates phenomenon was really interesting to see, because you could really tell that people were just having fun and having a good time, especially the Astarion people. Y'all are some freaky people. I would have never expected that. Well, I should have expected that because he's a vampire, but I digress. I might actually play Baldur's Gate for myself one day just to see what the hype is about, because I feel like that's a game that's more up my alley than like MMOs and like shooter games. I feel like that's not me. I'm sorry, that I don't think that could ever be me. And that leads us to the last gaming fandom that I was obsessed with, and that has to be Yandere Sim. I'm doing a whole deep dive on that because I feel like the rise and fall of Yandere Sim is wild, and the fact that we had Yandev freaking getting on camera and apologizing for being a creep. That's the word I'm going to choose to use, a creep. I never would have expected that to happen. I think I got into Yandere Sim when I was in middle school. I'm about to graduate college. We're going to talk about that in my deep dive, guys, I promise. So now we're into my miscellaneous category of fandoms I'm in, because I feel like I'm an isolated island for some of these fandoms, so I'm just going to do like rapid fire for some of them. I consider this category to be my Chinese drama category, because I feel like not a lot of people are into Chinese dramas, or if they are, they're not really making fandom spaces for them. So I'm reading off my list right here. I'm just rapid firing. Yangtze Palace, Empresses in the Palace, Princess Wei Young, Love Like Galaxy, and 10 Miles of Cherry Blossom, also known as Eternal Love, are some of my favorite Chinese dramas. But I'm telling y'all, there's like no fandom spaces for these dramas. And I would love to talk about them, make edits, because I love Chinese dramas, but no one in real life loves Chinese dramas. They're more into K-dramas and Thai dramas. Chinese dramas are the slept on category of freaking dramas, and that makes me so sad because I have so many things to say, but no one's watching what I'm watching. So I'm literally an isolated island in terms of enjoying those dramas. And so now let's talk about all the other things that I have enjoyed in my lifetime. Homestuck. I was obsessed with Homestuck. I know it's getting annoying, but I have a video coming out about that because I had a failed Homestuck comic that I wrote chat logs for, and it was a mess. I have so much art for that I want to show you guys because it's so messy. But oh my gosh, I was obsessed with Homestuck. And I think my favorite character most definitely had to be Rose. I was definitely in my dark girl emo phase, as you can see by my favorite character being freaking Rose. And my favorite troll, who was my favorite troll? I think my favorite troll was Gamzee. Is that even how you pronounce his name? Oh my gosh. It might just be like low-key my favorite color was purple without me knowing. It was him, and I low-key forgot how to pronounce these characters' names. But I'm gonna just put a picture so I don't embarrass myself anymore. I consider manhwas to be their own fandom for me. I make a ridiculous amount of manhwa content on this channel, and I got a bunch more coming up in 2024. But me and manhwas, we be locked in like this, just like this. And I consider musicals as its own genre, because whenever I find out that there's a new musical happening, I'm like, let me check it out. I think I might go watch the Mean Girls musical in theater with my bestie by force. That way I can force her to like musicals. But I consider musicals to be its own fandom. Like, I think there's a new musical, I don't know how new it is because it might be new to me, but it might be old. It's called Epic the Musical, where it's about Greek gods and stuff. But the music that has come out for that sounds really good. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. And for the next fandom that I have for you guys, I want to call it like the moody girl fandom in terms of music. So I consider Marina. She was known as Marina and the Diamonds, Melanie Martinez, and Lana Del Rey. I kind of fell off from Lana Del Rey because everything she does just pisses me the hell off. But I used to be really obsessed with her. But literally everything she does just pisses me off. And there's only so much nonsense that I can take. There's only so much I can take. And she was involved. She, Marina, and Florence and the Machine were also intertwined in my Homestuck obsession. Don't worry guys, we're gonna be talking. We're gonna be talking in that video. And yeah, that is about it for the fandoms that I was in. As you guys can see, this video is ridiculously long, but that's what happens when you let your little child on the internet with unrestricted internet access. I consumed almost everything on the internet, even stuff that I had no business being involved in. But yeah, those are the ones that I personally would say that I'm really obsessed with. And like, you could low-key quiz me and I would know my little 1-2-1-2 about the fandom. Let me know what your most prominent fandoms are and how many fandoms that we share, because based on the fact that this video is giving long, and the fact that you got here to the end of this video really means that you a real one. I thank you for that. But let me know what fandoms you would consider to be your main fandoms, or even which fandoms that I talked about that you wouldn't be surprised that I was into. If you like this video, make sure that you hit the like button. It really helps me and it really helps push this video out in the algorithm. Don't be afraid to comment, guys. I'm one of the few YouTubers I feel like that replies to every comment because I really love talking to y'all. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.